hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. If you only knew what I have gone through in the last day trying to set this up, my computer, this Zoom, everybody seems to be doing Zoom nowadays. So I'm taking advantage of that because I haven't done videos in a long time. And this Zoom just decided to crash on me last night. And I just got it going literally 15 minutes ago. So I am.
Oh, that's so good. That's great timing.
Yeah, I'm so frazzled. I was going to send a number for you to call, but I didn't know if you. I don't know if that would be something that you could do from Australia. So.
Yeah, it's a long way away, and it's great that we have this technology to be able to do stuff like this. It's really difficult, especially in the current climate. I've been mostly using Zoom all the time for everything right now, so it's a pretty weird situation.
I plan on putting some of the music from your EP and especially that single, but
thank you.
But I was hoping that I could take advantage. I always wanted to get somebody to play on camera. And if that's okay with you, so
absolutely, I'd love that. Thank you so much.
It's better than doing it at 2 minutes from when you're supposed to play and go, "Hey, would you do it?" And
yeah.
Then you go, "Oh no, I haven't set anything up." But that's you even thought it out with the condenser mic and everything. So thank you.
I wanted it to sound good for you, so I'm glad. Yes, hopefully it'll all be good. I've set it recording now, so it'll just record all through my side of the conversation, and then you can do whatever you want with it, cut it in as you need or whatever. Yeah, and I'm hoping my internet holds up as well.
Yes, so I agree. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little frazzled. I've just been through so much trying to fix this thing, and it.
No, no need to apologize. I understand how annoying all this technological stuff can be. I find it the same.
It's a great tool, but when it's not being your friend, it can really frustrate you. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Well, I want to welcome you to another wonderful episode of StrongWriter on the Radio. And I'm your host, Dean Olson, and we're doing a video and podcast today. And I have a wonderful guest that I'm just getting to meet for the first time. She's on your screen right now. I didn't have much of a time to write an intro. As a matter of fact, I didn't. But you know what? I got to talk with her for just a couple minutes before we came on the air here. And she is lovely, and what a wonderful sense of humor. And why am I taking my time here? IMOGEN CLARK is with me right now. She is from Australia, and there she is on your screen. Take a look at her because you're getting to see somebody who's going to be a big star in these parts as well, because I listened to her album, and it is something else. I am really a fan of your music, having just listened to it.
Thank you so much, Dean. Thanks for having me. This is really lovely. I've never done a podcast via Zoom before, so there's the first time for everything.
Okay, I'm glad you're still on there because as we talked beforehand, I had the worst time trying to set this up. Technology is not your friend sometimes. I love these times where we can do this. How else would I get to talk with you over there in near Sydney, where you're calling us from? And how is the weather over there? I know we were talking about how you're having a storm. Tell me about how's the weather in this area that you're in, the Blue Mountains?
It's very wild at the moment. We've had all night, there's been crazy winds and sort of trees being knocked over and power lines coming down. But it's been a wild year for Australia already. I mean, we're all currently experiencing this virus problem, but then we've also had bushfires at the start of this year that claimed so many houses and people's lives, and we had flooding in my area. It's just been a wild year so far, and it's only May, so it's pretty insane.
Yeah, we're reminding people those bushfires were not too long ago, and I remember them well. We had a friend of my son's or of the family come down, and they live somewhere in Sydney. I can't tell you exactly where because you're more familiar with the town than I am, but it is they're very familiar with that what happened over there.
Yeah, it's been, the Blue Mountains in particular, where I'm from, really copped it pretty terribly with the bushfires, and there are a lot of houses lost in this area. We were evacuated a couple of times from our house, and we were very lucky that our house didn't get affected, but some people very, very close to us did. So it was a very scary time, but we have amazing rural fire service here in Australia, some of the best in the world. So we're very, very lucky.
Well, where you are right now is you didn't grow up too far away. Can you tell me a little bit about your early life so we get to know you here on the program?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So I grew up here in the Blue Mountains. It's actually an area called the sort of Hawkesbury Blue Mountains area, and I've lived here my whole life actually, and it's been a wonderful place to grow up. It's really fresh air, very beautiful scenery. It's so secluded. We're only an hour and a half drive from Sydney City, but it's very remote. You feel like you're way out in the countryside. So
oh, yeah.
I grew up around here with my parents and my brother. We've all been a very musical family all my life. So my father's a musician, and he taught me everything I know about music, and he's a songwriter. So I really learned a lot about that from him.
Oh, great. So tell me a little bit about that. How young were you when you first decided that music was your destiny in life? Do you have any memory of actually thinking that at times?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was about 8 years old, I started singing lessons, and that was because my dad heard me sing just once at home for fun, and he thought, I think she's got a voice, and he knew I loved to sing, so he took me to a lovely local lady who ended up teaching me classical singing and operetta for about 10 years, and so that was my introduction to music, and I loved it, and I really loved singing like that, but I didn't fully realize my heart was in music, wanting to do music as a full-time career, until I wrote my first song and picked up the guitar when I was 12 or 13, and that's what made me realize I love classical music, but I'm more, my heart really lies in the contemporary songwriter side of music. So that was a really important discovery for me when I realized that writing my own songs was my real sort of destiny, what I felt was my destiny.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, leave it to having that little spark of songwriting to give you, put that idea in that you can do anything. That happens to a lot of us out here.
Absolutely. I think it's really important because you can love music and you can love singing or playing an instrument. But for me, the kicker was, if I'm playing my actual own creations was what made me want to do it for life. I loved music, but perhaps the idea of just singing other people's songs didn't feel like enough for me. I wanted to be able to create my own songs.
Yeah. When you've created that very first song, like you said, did anybody else get to hear it, or was it something personal to you that you created on your own and then kept it to yourself, or how'd that go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was something I was terrified of showing anybody, and I wrote it in my bedroom, and I thought that's where it would stay, and I thought it was terrible. And then I, like everybody at that age, 12, 13, I was of course an angst-filled teenager with a lot of emotions, and it was about some boy who had supposedly broken my heart and all this sort of stuff. And I played it for a friend of mine one night, and I used to do some busking at this little cafe in the Blue Mountains, really quaint, tiny little cafe, and people used to put money in the tip jars for me, and most of the time getting to and from the cafe in the car would cost more money than I'd actually get in the tip jars. But it was a really great experience, and I was going to play one of those gigs busking that night, and my friend said, you have to play this new song that you've written. And I said, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. That's terrifying. And she really encouraged me to do it. And so I did. And my dad sort of said, whose song was that you just played? And I said, oh, it was mine. And he was so excited because he hadn't heard that I was interested in songwriting up till that point. So from then on, I just realized that I wanted to connect with people through singing songs that I'd written.
Oh, great. What a wonderful story about that. I like hearing the early versions of what happened in your life, and you wouldn't know. I mean, I don't think it's any secret. How old are you? Can you tell everybody, or should I just guess?
No, that's fine. I'm 25. I've just turned 25. So.
Oh, you're so young, but my goodness, you sound, your songwriting sounds so mature.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's not your first. Is this your debut, or have you done? Did you do an album before this? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've released two records. The first one was called Love and Lovely Lies, and the second one was called Collide. And then this new single that's just come out in the last week is my my single from my third project coming up. So it's an EP that's coming in August.
Yeah, let me cut to the present here. Imogen Clark has an album out, and it is called actually it's an EP, and it's called Making of Me, and it's out 5/1/20. That's today. At least over here it is. Over in you know, in the Sydney area, that's where Imogen is. She's in the future, and so I'm really happy that she is talking with little old me over here in the States about her album that just came out. But I guess because of the virus and everybody getting shut in all the time, you can't really do a proper release party or celebration of your new EP. That must be a little bit disappointing, but you must be. How are you getting through that?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, we had all these plans for this year and lots of touring plans. I was actually supposed to be right now back over in the States, and we were going to be on a tour with the brilliant Jim Lauderdale. I was going to be supporting Jim on the west coast of America, and I was so excited for that. But of course, safety comes first, and we had to postpone all those things. So hopefully, you know, what we've done is kind of try and rejig all the plans to this new reality that we're all living in, and hoping that we can spend this year really focusing on the music side of things, getting people interested in the music from the comfort of their own homes, and then hoping that into 2021 we can be really touring a bit more. And I can't wait to get back to America. It's really my home away from home. I'm actually planning a move to Nashville soon as I can, once all this chaos has died down.
Everybody gets to go there once in a while. Eventually, they make it their way to Nashville, whether they stay there or not. But
absolutely,
yeah, that's a wonderful place, and it's I mean, great resources and a very tough town. It's very competitive if you're trying to you know, make your mark in the world.
Absolutely, it's really one of those cases of when you're running a sprint race, do you want to be running against the best people? You want to be running against the people that are going to challenge you the most and make you perform better. And I think that's the great thing about Nashville, is everybody is so talented, and the best of the best go to live there and work there. And so I want to be amongst those people. My philosophy is always that I want to be the worst musician in any room where I'm in, because it means that if I'm the worst musician and the worst songwriter, then I'm around people who I can learn from, which I think is just, you know, so important.
I agree. That's a wonderful. I'm glad that you have that that way of thinking, that you want to challenge yourself, set the bar high, and you'd rather grow up than down, right?
Absolutely. You can only be so long, be a big fish in a small pond. You've definitely got to try and get out there and challenge yourself.
The internet's holding up pretty good, but you know, I have to understand we are on a connection from overseas, so it's a little.
Yes.
So no, I'm thankful for what I have. Yeah.
Yes. Great. No, you're perfect. I'm hoping that I am too. With all of this weather that's going on, the internet's very unstable. So thank you for understanding.
No, I really do appreciate that you took the time to, you know, set things up. And spoiler alert, we have Imogen's going to do a song for us a little bit later, and she was thoughtful enough to set up some equipment so that she can back up that technology just in case the internet isn't keeping up with her you know, guitar playing. Or is it you gonna play on a guitar or a piano?
Absolutely, yeah. I've got my acoustic guitar here.
Wonderful. So when did you first learn that guitar?
Well, this is actually the guitar I'm going to play on for you today. Is actually my father's guitar. So he's had it for a long time, and it's a beautiful 1980 CW Maton, and Maton is the beautiful guitar brand we have here in Australia. They're very respected, well-loved guitar brand, and it's been in the family for a long time, and it's the first guitar I learnt on. So I started playing it when I was maybe I think about 12 or 13. I couldn't believe, now I look back and think, what an amazing first guitar to be learning on. Some people, their first guitar is incredibly, you know, cheap little sort of dodgy guitar, and mine is, you know, I got to use this beautiful thing. So thanks to my dad.
I'm going to cheat here, like I told you. I'm going to read a little bit of your bio.
please.
It starts out that you, Imogen, were playing bar gigs at the age of 13, and that's pretty good. I remember what I was doing at 13. It wasn't going in a bar playing on a guitar or anything like that. Tell me about that. Scared, or was this something that you marched right into, like into a fire, so to speak?
Well, I think all of us can probably relate to the feeling of being being an early teenager and just being so fearless. It's almost like you have no inhibitions. And that's the amazing thing is I remember, I almost think about it more now and worry about it more now than I did then. I think it was so natural to me because from a really young age, I used to be going to bars with my parents and watching my father play in bands. And he played in a lot of original punk bands and Led Zeppelin cover bands and all these. I used to watch all those shows, and so that was a really natural thing for my family, and so it didn't seem like such a huge stretch for me to be playing in bars. So as soon as I turned 12, I started gigging. I was playing in cafes and then it turned into bars, and I was too young to actually be in the bars. So my parents used to come and supervise me because I was a minor. So it was really quite an interesting time. And but I really did learn a lot. I mean, you learn a lot when you're that young amongst really drunk people. And sometimes they're lovely, but sometimes they're really, really tough to deal with. And they can be really, sometimes they can be aggressive or they can be a bit rude and sort of outspoken. So you have to learn to deal with all that. And it really served me well.
So it broke. I don't know. That's something to think about. All the drunk people. It's just I'm just trying to picture that, or what they must have said. Hopefully, they didn't say anything that really set you off, or like you took away bad feelings from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes they did. There's some of them that just, I remember just the most bizarre circumstances. Like sometimes there was one time there was this very, very drunk man that was trying to do magic tricks for me while I was singing. And I had to sort of say to him, look, I can't talk to you right now. I'm singing. There's just so many weird things happen when you play in pubs for a living. And that's how I earned my pocket money throughout school. Other kids
wonderful.
Other kids were working in the local cafes, so making coffee and things like that. And that was just my job. I just played music in bars.
That's extraordinary to me. I love it. I love the story. I really do. And you seem so well adjusted, and you don't seem hardened to me. I don't know, but maybe I don't know you that well. But
well, thank you.
You touched on mom and dad there. Could you tell me a little bit about them and how they supported you as you were growing up with this musical dream that you had?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so lucky. I think about it every day because my parents are beautiful people, but they are just so supportive of music. And obviously my father, knowing about music and having been in the music industry all his life, he's also a teacher, a high school teacher of drama and English, but he understands the music industry. Mum, on the other hand, she's not involved in music. She doesn't play any music, so she didn't really understand the music industry, but both of them totally jumped straight into supporting me pursuing music. And I know a lot of people that wanted to pursue music, but their parents, when they were younger, their parents just wouldn't they didn't want that for their children. And I do understand that because it's such a tough industry, but I'm so lucky that my parents did everything possible to just, throw their support behind me pursuing this career. And I honestly wouldn't have been able to do so much by a young age if it wasn't for them.
That is just a wonderful thing. I mean, my wife and I are, we raised two kids. They're older than you are, so I feel old. I feel old talking to this young 25-year-old woman who's got her whole life in front of her, but she's lived. I don't know. You've lived half your life. You've lived, on the road or playing and making money right away. So I mean, this is you're doing it, and I'm so enamored of that. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So. Was it easy? Was it an easy road all the way through? Tell me about how it was. What from that first gig playing in the pub or whatever in that bar to how did it progress there? You had to finish school and things like that. how did you finally get to where you are now?
Well, I mean, it was a very incremental process. I mean, and it still feels like that. Every year is a little bit, you get a little bit further on, and I mean, the beginning was very slow for me because I was playing mostly cover gigs in bars and sort of starting to introduce my originals into each set every time I would play a gig. And that sort of had to continue for quite a while because I was in high school. And so as soon as I finished high school, I'd been in a very academically focused high school. It was a selective high school. And so I got a wonderful education. But the difficult thing was when I finished my year 12 exams and I was really proud of my results, all my teachers were saying to me, well, are you going to go study law or are you going to study medicine? And those were the two sort of options. And I was just saying, well, I don't want to do any of that. I mean, I may have gotten the marks to do that, but I don't want to do that. I want to pursue music. And I was kind of looked at like I was a little bit crazy, which I understand because I know that, I felt that some of my teachers thought I was perhaps wasting my selective school education, but I didn't feel like that. All I wanted to do my whole life was finish school so I could go out on the road full time. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I finished school, I started planning my first tour, and I just had, every few months I would go out on the road with different artists or by myself and we'd just play all around Australia. And it's a hard slog in Australia. It's a lot of space. You have to drive for hours and hours to make it between each capital city. It's a very expensive and arduous task being a touring artist in Australia, but I loved it and I still love it. And I think, with each little town that I played in, I would develop a few more fans until gradually I felt like I had this great community behind me. And then I started, being offered a record deal and releasing albums and going on tour with these artists that I've always respected, internationally and nationally. So it's been a wonderful journey so far, and it's continuing all the time. It's very exciting, and I love being a part of it.
Sounds good, and you're continuing to do it, and you made a wonderful album. I didn't get to hear your other two albums. I bet you they're just as delightful to listen to. But this one in particular, it grabs me. At least the way it was engineered and arranged. There are 6 songs on it. Did you write them all, or did you co-write? How did you come up with all the songs?
So some of these songs are written by me just by myself, and some of them are co-writes. So I've got some beautiful co-writers on there from Australia, and also some American co-writers. But the single that's out right now, so the EP comes out in August this year, but the first single that's out right now that's just come out is called Found Me, and that was actually co-written with 2 brilliant American singer-songwriters, Claire Bowen and her husband Brandon Robert Young. And Claire, as you may know, is one of the stars of the TV show Nashville, and Brandon is her beautiful husband, and in their own right, they're both wonderful singers and songwriters. And I've toured with them both in Australia and in America, and just after a tour of America last year, we got together and decided to write a song about this recent kind of pretty serious breakup I'd gone through. And it was a wonderful experience because they had great advice for me, but they also just listened so beautifully to, they were willing to let me pour my heart out to them. And this song came out called Found Me, and it's kind of like a breakup anthem with a bit of a twist, because it's not sad or negative. It's saying that sometimes you have to make some really tough decisions and lose certain people out of your life in order to become the person that you need to be, that you always knew you could be, and be a stronger person for it.
Did my dreams keep you up at night? 'Cause you never found your own. Did you hold me back? 'Cause you were scared you'd end up all alone. It's a brand new day. I went and saw the world while you were standing still. I gave you every piece of me, but you never had your fill. I had to be brave see. The grey of your world suffocated me. You're a sweeter out here on my own. Oh, I'm free. Crazy on the colors I can see. The grey of your world suffocated me. You're sweeter out here on my own. Now I'm free. I couldn't be who I was meant to be. Chained to a pedestal you built for me. Of all the things I thought that I would never leave, I lost you. I lost you. And found me. And found me.
That's really the sort of the uplifting message that I want to give to people right now, especially during this terrible time.
Yeah. No, I gathered that Found Me was more of it's a positive song. It was, it's optimistic after everything. I mean, doesn't the chorus sort of build up like I can breathe now and, you know, that kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I thought I might play that one for you acoustically, since the final production of that is very, it's big. It's bigger than I've ever gone before. It's very
Oh, yeah.
poppy, and it's kind of got a bit of an 80s vibe to it, a bit of synth and all that sort of stuff. But I also really like to strip it right back to the way that we wrote it, which was just on an acoustic guitar. So maybe that's the song I'll sing for you today.
Sure, I would love this. I would love that. I always like to have a little acoustic version of it, but you did describe it well, just with that simple adjective. It's big. The sound is
Yes.
big. Most of it, I mean, it does have that sort of 80s to 90s, you know, or mid 90s feel with that big orchestral rock and very My Own Worst Enemy. I just figured My Own Worst Enemy and The Making of Me and Found Me, they just sounded like you were telling the story of you. So I figured that you wrote most of it. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was lucky to work with so many writers that both knew me so well or understood, you know, had been through the same circumstances, and they just wanted to help tell the story of kind of I feel like the whole EP really tells the story of my sort of journey from being vulnerable to confident and feeling like I'm coming into my own a little bit. So I was so grateful to all those writers who helped me write those songs.
Yeah, sort of spread your wings and here I come, world. That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It does sound very uplifting, but you seem to be getting your emotions out. My Own Worst Enemy sounds like you're gritting your teeth and you're puffing your chest out, putting your hands on your hips, and you're telling the story of you. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I like it when the thing slows down. You know, Paper Boat. Did you write that by yourself?
That was actually written with a beautiful friend of mine. Her name is Anita Lester. She's Australian. She lives down in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. And she's a beautiful songwriter and one of the most creative, talented people I've ever worked with or known. And we've become great friends. That was the first song we wrote together, but we've written many more since then. And we, you know, she is one of these people that is constantly, you know, flowing with ideas for songs, and she'd written some great ideas down. And when we came into the session, she just said, you know, that she'd been thinking about this idea of something that's seemingly sturdy like a boat, but also very fragile, and somehow kind of it's like a lover that lets you down, that's always, you know, never quite reliable or there for you when you need them. And so that's, you know, that was really what we wrote. It's all kind of, you know, mixed in with this sort of toxic love story, and she just kind of understood me and where I was at that point, which was amazing because we'd only just met.
I'm comfortable in the dark. You pulled me from the sinking ship, then you threw me to the hungry shores. You told me I was beautiful as you pushed me out to the sea in a handmade paper boat with rocks tied to my feet. Oh, I'm lying in the devil's sidewalks touching my feet, suffocated by your feet. You left me drowning here.
When did you get together in the same room and just start playing together or trading ideas? How did this song come about? I always like to hear about how two people get together and write a song, because I've done that. I think the energy is it's amazing when you do that. So could you tell me a little bit?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think the great thing about co-writing sessions is they're always different. I always find they're different. I mean, sometimes you'll come in and I always try and bring something with me to a session, bring an idea in so that we're not just starting from nothing. And then I see where the conversation goes as we're getting to know each other and just chatting. And if something naturally comes out of that conversation, we'll just go in that direction. Whereas if we're not sure where to start, I'll use the idea I brought in. But on this occasion with Anita, I'd brought something in, but I didn't even need to use it because I loved this idea that she had to start with about this paper boat, and I just thought that was perfect. So, it's all, but the beauty of songwriting is it never happens in the same way twice. Even when I'm writing by myself, sometimes I start with lyrics, sometimes I'll have an opening line in my head, sometimes I start with a chord progression I like or a melody. So it's just, that's why I'm so in love with it still after all these years, and I think I always will be, because it's so fresh every time.
Yeah, and what you said about you making sure that you had some kind of idea ready to go, it seems like that's only proper etiquette. It's only right to do that. It's almost like let's get together and have a potluck type of thing like that. Yeah. If you're not bringing your side of the food or the beer or whatever like that, now you're being rude. You should have done something to contribute. Yeah.
Absolutely, especially when you know that you're having a songwriting session to write a song for you to release. So we knew that we were getting together to write a song that I would be releasing or I would be performing rather than Anita. So if you know that you're the one that the song's being written for, you really should come with something as a springboard. Even if you don't end up using it, it's just something to get you started so that you're not awkwardly sitting there feeling weird. And I hate that feeling in a session when it just doesn't flow and you feel so awkward and it's just not right.
Well, let me go down the list of some of your songs, because for the podcast audience, I'd love to play a couple of these. Some of the ones I really liked. Push Me Down. I like that one.
Thank you.
I love when we were talking about that full big sound. That has a nice big sound and great shimmering, bold guitars going on, and that's the kind of stuff I enjoy. That's why I think your whole EP is just spectacular. I love the sound.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good to put headphones on and really enjoy.
Late evening light shines like a spotlight on cobblestones and quaint cafes. Here we stand. You say you're a man, and I'm just a girl feeling this way. I don't know if I'll ever know why you only feel good when you're making me cry. You don't have to push me down. You don't have to push me down. You don't have to push me down to breathe.
And don't let me skimp on telling you how wonderful that voice of yours is. You've really done something special there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, how did you? I remember you were talking about you were trained to sing opera or classical and all that. How did you sound before that? Was all the talent there? You just needed to, train it a little bit and get it get it so it sounds proper for an audience?
Yeah, well, I mean, the funny thing was, and I always think about this, like I started when I was so young, started lessons and started singing. The first time I sang anything in public was an Eisteddfod that my teacher put me in for when I was 8 or 9 years old. So I was so young when I first started singing in public that it's almost like I didn't have a chance to, one, understand how scary it could be because I was sort of uninhibited at that age, I guess. But I also didn't have a chance to actually emulate another singer. So I just kind of, because when you're 8 or 9, you don't really listen to other singers. You know, you don't really listen to music that much, or at least I didn't at that age. I didn't start listening to music a lot until I was sort of, 10, 11, 12, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that what's great about that is that you don't try to copy anyone's voice, because you're just singing with whatever comes out of your mouth, because you're too young to think about copying anyone else. And I did really well because it meant I didn't try and sound like another singer, and then I didn't get into that habit. I just always just sang with the natural voice that came out of my head without sort of being, putting on a voice, if you will. So I really, I think that was really important. And then having a great singing teacher, her name was Alida Johnson. She's very sadly passed in the last few years. She was a wonderful lady and basically like a second grandmother to me. And she herself was one of the first ladies on Australian television. She was wonderfully well known for her singing and her acting, and she was brilliant. So I was lucky to learn from somebody like that, and she just kind of took a little bit of raw potential that she saw in my voice as a very, very young girl, and she just formed it into something that, would eventually become, what I am now. And it was something, just giving me confidence and teaching me proper technique so I can sing for hours without hurting my voice. And that's really done me so well in my career so far.
That is tricky. I understand when you talk about not hurting your voice, because if you're going to belt out a song, have you learned how to do that without hurting yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we always slip. Some of us, I'm guilty of it. We always sometimes forget our good technique, or we get into bad habits on tour or whatever it might be. But I do find that generally, and perhaps it comes from the 3 or 4 hour pub gigs I used to do, where I do, 3 or 4 hours of music with only small breaks in between. But I find that I can sing for a long, long time without losing my voice. I have to be careful on the road that I go after the show, go out to any sort of loud place and talk really loudly, because talking tends to be a lot worse for me than singing. If I can sing forever, but if I'm talking really loudly in some crowded bar or something, that's when I'll lose my voice. So I have to be careful.
Yeah, that is, well, that's, how can you do anything but talk loud when you're in a pub or something?
Absolutely.
That must be tough. What's the typical day like? You were doing tell me about your performing gigs. You've been in front of bigger crowds than a small bar, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it grew pretty gradually. I mean, from things like pub gigs to, I started getting offered spots on support tours for big artists in Australia. Namely, the first one I was ever offered was a beautiful artist. His name is Diesel. He goes by the artist name of Diesel, but his real name is Mark Lazot. He's an Australian rock god. Basically, we all love him here. He's incredibly respected as a guitarist, a singer, a songwriter. He's just wonderful. Wow. And I've always loved his music, and so it was wonderful. I got to open for him for just a couple of shows one weekend when they needed a support act, and then I woke up in the morning and I had an email on my phone asking me to join them on the entire tour around Australia, which was truly wonderful. And since then I've been on maybe 3 or 4 tours with Diesel, and he's been incredibly supportive of me, as well as he actually produced my second album, Collide. So I'm so proud of working with him. And then that sort of led to more and more gigs with international artists who were coming through Australia, like Claire Bowen, who is from Australia but she now lives in Nashville.
Okay.
And also people like Shania Twain. When she came to Australia, I supported her. So it's been a wonderful wonderful road so far of working with artists who are, more established than me and sort of learning from them.
Oh, now you're talking. Shania Twain, that's somebody we know. And she's almost my age, so I relate to her story as well. She's had some things with her voice too. So I don't know when you were doing this tour with her, but or
Yes.
supporting her.
This was just 2 or 1.5 years ago, I believe, when she was touring her album Shania Now. And so she came out to Australia and did some wonderful outdoor arena shows and some indoor ones as well. But she obviously has had some real struggles in her life, but she was better than ever on that show. I loved watching her perform live for the first time.
Yeah, there's another one who's had to deal with try to step out and try to create a name for herself despite people criticizing all the time, and that's
Absolutely.
So I give her a lot of credit. I don't follow her too closely, but I just admire her for the the journey that she's taken and where she is now. So
Definitely.
And now
agree.
she's a big name, and all those people can say, "Oh, I always loved her back then." But I
That's
know what
the
they were
way.
saying. Yeah.
That's the way it always goes.
But what I was going to ask is, so when you were doing a regular tour like with Diesel, that's wonderful that you got that opportunity to do that. By the way, that's probably the most amazing thing to you, having admired him. But when obviously these things are done in in the evening, what are you doing during the day? Are you keeping your are you trying to limit how you talk, to save that voice? I was wondering what is the best thing to do? Should you just talk normally or do you try to save it, until it's time to go on?
Yeah, well, I normally try to, I can talk this sort of way that I'm talking right now is just, that's fine for me. Just something sort of gentle and natural, not forcing it out too much tends to be fine, and I don't tend to lose my voice. It's only if I'm really yelling, but on the day of a gig, I have a bit of a routine. I generally like to, I'll try to get, not too much sleep, but just enough that I'm not, because I know I'll have to be driving home late at night. So I'll try and sleep in a bit, because you're almost like a shift worker, aren't you, when you're a musician?
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
I like to I do a lot of exercise to try and get myself kind of in the zone, and you want to feel strong and confident on stage, and warm up my voice a lot, because I like to have a super warm voice by the time I'm on stage, and sing away the cobwebs sort of thing, drink lots of water. It's good to have that sort of touring routine, even when you every day is a bit different because you're on the road. It's good to have some things that you always do, so you kind of get yourself in the zone.
I like how you said the cobwebs. I know those all too well. As an older man, the cobwebs are in the mornings and everything. I have to figure out a regimen to try to keep that voice getting back there. I love to keep it up. I don't know if I haven't sung in a long time, but at least I remember being 25 and being able to just go ahead and do it. And it wasn't really a thought in my head how I should take care of this instrument right here.
Well, that's the thing. It is an instrument, and sometimes we forget to treat it like an instrument. It's so it's fragile, and you have to be gentle with it and careful with it, and you have to warm it up like any other instrument. And I know a lot of people, and I was the same at one point, are guilty of that, just not really preparing and just going on stage and singing. But I feel so much more confident and happy about my performance when I've warmed up and I know I'm good to go.
I know you had a song in there that had a lyric. I'm going to butcher the lyric. Sorry if I'm not saying it properly. But you were one of them. I don't know if it was my own worst enemy. You'll tell me, because you'll recognize it. That you're tired of the trophies going to the liars and thieves and like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which song was that? So people know that at least.
No, that's okay. No, that's great. That is from the song Inside Out.
Inside Out.
The lyric is, I watch the trophies go to jokers and to thieves, but I love the outside.
Thieves. There you
and
go.
There's power here for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Forgive my. I know I heard it, and it was early on in the EP, but that was that. I always certain lyrics will grab me, and I said, I get it, because I see that too.
Oh, thank you. No, that's lovely. I'm very proud of that song. I wrote that one on my own, and that was very much just sort of a bit of a, an anthem of strength for anyone that feels like they're being doubted a bit. And I think I kind of wrote that when I felt like I was moving a bit out of the country music scene in Australia and feeling like I didn't really belong anywhere in music, because I've always had this kind of cross-genre thing, which I'm happy about. I love to use different genres, but sometimes it makes it hard for people to know where to put you, and it means you feel a bit on the outside. But I actually kind of have realized there's so much strength in being on the outside, and it's actually a really powerful thing. So I've started to embrace that, and that's what that song's about.
I've seen some things now, honey, that you would not believe. I've heard them talking behind closed doors about me. I've done the time for a crime I did not commit, but they're in the back row. Well, I hope you're feeling it. And I've been so scared, I've been so foolish now, trying to feel everything out loud, like nothing you've seen, nothing you've heard about. I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out. I've been taking these pills now, honey, but there is still no cure. I've been selling my soul, but somehow I still end up poor. I watch the trophies go to jokers and thieves, and I love the outside, and there's power here for me. And I've been so scared, I've been so foolish now, trying to feel everything out loud, like nothing you've seen, nothing you've heard about. I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out. And I've been so high, I felt the lowest down, trying to shake the earth till love comes out. It's brave to jump in, but even brave let it drown. I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out. Down on my knees, I got hunger inside of me. I know it may be hard to breathe, it's a sweet disease. And I've been so scared, I've been so foolish now, trying to feel everything out loud, like nothing you've seen, nothing you've heard about. I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out. And I've been so high, I felt the lowest down, trying to shake the earth till love comes out. It's brave to jump in, but even brave let it drown. I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out, I'll rock you inside out.
Great. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of having you sing your song in just a minute here, because
Great.
we're getting close to an hour. I like to keep the shows to about an hour, but you're welcome to speak as long as you like. But I'm having a lot of fun talking to you. I'm glad it's working out, because as I told you before, all I could think about is trying to technically get this thing to happen.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. I'm so grateful. Thank you for technically I was worried about it from my side as well, so I'm hoping it's okay.
Yeah, and now that I know that you can understand what and these things happen, you have to roll with the punches when these things occur, but
absolutely.
And I like behind you. I keep looking at the waving. I can tell that wind is it kicks up every once in a while.
It's howling. I tried to sort of put something against the door so it wouldn't be knocking against the door frame. And gosh, it's so loud here. It's amazing.
Oh wow. Well, listen. The Making of Me, since that's your title track, could you do you have any story? This year will be the making of me. That sounds like a pretty bold statement that you're ready. And who and I can understand, this year, a lot of people are putting down this year because of what's been going on. But hey, listen, things happen every year. So you just have to tell me a little bit about that song, could you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the thing about that song that's kind of amazing is I wrote that in July last year, and it's really about how I felt about last year, because I'd had a really terrible year last year. A lot of great things happened as well, don't get me wrong, but personally it was a really tough year for me. I ended a really a serious romantic relationship, the longest and most serious I'd had up till that point, and I also had lost a few friends and some, business relationships that were changing, and it just felt like a really tumultuous year for me. And so I was actually sort of stranded in London at the time. I'd just come off a big UK-Europe tour, and I was waiting in London for my US visa to come through so that I could go and tour with Claire Bowen in the US. So while I waited for that visa, I was staying in London at my beautiful friend's house. And she had a piano there, and I didn't have a guitar with me. So I sat down at her piano and I just started, messing around, and this song just poured out of me about how I felt that if I could make it through the year and just get through it and power through it, I knew I would be better as a person for having been through that struggle. And I just knew that it would improve me as a person, just, having been challenged like that. And so that's what I wrote the song about, but it's almost taken on a new meaning now, because this year, 2020, has ended up being so difficult for so many people. And when I wrote the song, I had no idea that we were about to fall into this pandemic, but it really has, the song feels really relevant to people at this point in time now, because everybody's having a really hard time, losing their jobs and getting sick, and it's just a really wild time throughout the whole world. And so, I think it's almost taken on a new meaning since this has all happened.
And you have loved a version of the person I was prouder of, but I am not that person anymore. 'Cause you'll be the death of me, writing on my skin. I wish I could believe in a reason for all the suffering. The music 6 o'clock just keeps me up till 3 a.m. And I have traded loving for the greed. This year will be the making of me. Oh. Me, writing on my skin. I wish I could believe in a reason for all the suffering. The news at 6 o'clock just keeps me up till 3 a.m. And I have traded loving for the grief. This year will be the making of me.
I agree. Yeah, there's so much. It's very serious, but I like. I don't know if I'm getting sick and tired of seeing everybody at home doing all their the crazy activities that and sharing them with everybody. But you have to have an outlet for something. I mean, we're forced to do that. A lot of us are in California here in the States. We we have to wear masks, and they've closed a lot of things, but we can still get in our car and drive to essential places. And some places are not like that. They're really locked down hard so that they don't let them out. So.
Absolutely.
And they'll tell them, go back to your house if you're not here to get food or something like that. You need to go back home. So
that's right. It's a very serious situation right now. It almost feels like it's not real, even though it's been going on for so long. It feels very, very bizarre and very surreal. But I think, it's almost, I see the making of me as almost being a little bit of an anthem for people right now who are just struggling to just get through it, and feel, that there's a light on the other side of it, and that, it's going to be okay. We just got to get through this together, and we can do it. It's just going to be a hard time, but once it's passed, we'll all kind of appreciate what we have that little bit more.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for explaining some of these songs. I really enjoy them. I want people to go check this out. Imogen Clark has an album. It's an EP called "Making of Me." The single is the thing that's going to be out on May 1st. This has already happened, but "Found Me" is that single, and you're really going to love it. I'm going to play it, and so is Imogen. She's got her. She has her instrument nearby.
Yes.
How quickly can you get that going? You want me to wait for a minute?
Right here. No, it's right here. Let me just make sure
Okay.
I'm set up so I can see the mic so that it's all good.
And we can almost see that CW, that guitar that you were.
Yes, there it is. Very big.
Yeah. And how old is that thing? Was that your dad's guitar that he gave you, or what?
That's right. Well, it's still his technically, but he lets me use it all the time.
Yeah.
But he said to me that he always says to me, once I'm gone, you can take this. So it's from 1980. It's an original.
Oh yeah, it's family. So why not?
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. I'll tell you what. So Imogen Clark, she is going to play the song, which is the single off of "Making of Me," and I'm reaching over here. I'm going to turn the lights down so that nobody has to look at me while you're playing here. So let me do this real quick. Okay, I'm a little mood lighting for me, but
there we go.
You take it away whenever you're ready. Imogen Clark playing "Found Me." Go ahead.
Keep you up at night, cause you never found your own? Did you hold me back cause you were scared you'd end up all alone? It's a brand new day. I went and saw the world while you were standing still. I gave you every piece of me, but you never had your fill. I had to be brave. I can breathe. Crazy all the colors I can see. The gray of your world suffocated me. The air is sweeter out here on my own. Now I'm free. I couldn't be who I was meant to be. Chained to a pedestal you built for me. Of all the things I thought that I would never leave, I lost you and found me. The strongest thing I ever did was gently letting go of every hope I had for us. I thought you were my home, so I will make my way can breathe. Crazy all the colors I can see. The gray of your world suffocated me. The air is sweeter out here on my own. Now I'm free. I couldn't be who I was meant to be. Chained to a pedestal you built for me. Of all the things I thought that I would never leave, I lost you and found me. I can breathe. Crazy all the colors I can see. The gray of your world suffocated me. The air is sweeter around here on my own. Oh, I can breathe. Crazy all the colors I can see. The gray of your world suffocated me. The air is sweeter out here on my own. Oh, now I'm free. I couldn't be who I was meant to be. Chained to a pedestal you built for me. Of all the things I thought that I would never leave, I lost you. I lost you and found me. Found me.
That's all you get. You only get one set of hands applauding for you there.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
That was wonderful. Had a little bit of a technical thing, but you know what? Your personality came through, so it sounded wonderful. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, and when you listen to the single "Found Me," the one that she had recorded in the studio, sounds a lot the same, except just a lot of instruments backing it up and a big sound to it, and it's lots of good bass and. But
Yeah.
I always said that a good song, you could play it acoustically, or you could change the tempo on it, and if it's a good song, it still sounds just as good.
Absolutely, I agree. That's the sign of a good song. You can strip it right back, and it still sounds good.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for all. I'm so stunned by that wonderful song that I'm running out of questions here. Let me see real quick if there's anything because I do have one at the end, but I'm trying to see what else. Anybody that you've met along the way? I mean, music industry is a little weird. You're sort of independent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this EP, my first two albums were released through Lost Highway, Universal Music, and this EP is actually independent. We've got the wonderful MGM distributing it for us, but it's independent, and I own all the masters. So.
Oh, that's good. You got some good. You're not just selling them out of the trunk of your car or anything.
No, that's right. It's very helpful to have a good team around you.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. Along the way, have you met some persons or one person who's inspired you to, as you said, challenge yourself? Anybody take you under their wing and just sort of show you the ropes of how to get moving in this business?
Definitely. I mean, I think I've been lucky to have a few people like that in my life so far, and I think one of them is Diesel, who I mentioned earlier. He's been a wonderful mentor to me, and I would say the other ones are really Claire Bowen and her husband Brandon Robert Young. They've been wonderful to me. Very great music industry advice, but also great personal advice, and I've loved sort of getting to know all of those people and just kind of getting great tips. And I mean, for this EP we also worked with a bunch of people that were wonderful inspirations to me, who people like Ben Montench from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and
right.
Pete Thomas from Elvis Costello and the Imposters. So those people, everything they said, I just wanted to lap it up because I wanted to, soak up all the inspiration and all their advice like a sponge. So I'm very lucky to have met a bunch of people like that in my career.
Yeah, that is wonderful, and like a sponge is proper, because I mean you have to have the right attitude in your heart and your head to absorb all that learning, and not be so hard-headed and have an ego like a lot of the men do. But I know plenty of girls who won't listen either. So it's good that you have that learning heart, and because you love music. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I appreciate that, and I do like to be like that in my life, not just with music, but I think it's important to be able to learn things and always be, growing and changing. That's really super important.
Well, Imogen, it's been lovely talking to you. Let me ask you the last question, and I have to think about it because I never write them down, these things. But let's say you had sort of I don't know, maybe a tough go of it, but you've learned to keep your head high and just follow your dream, to use a trite cliche phrase, but those things mean something. Following your dreams is exactly what you're doing, and I hope that you continue to do that, and that things get even brighter and brighter for you, Imogen. Really.
Thank you so much.
So the question is for other songwriters, and no matter what age they are, they could be 25, they could be my age, which is 50 and we all get into moods. You know what I'm saying? That they're not always happy moods that you get into, especially nowadays. People people are getting so depressed right now. But if and when things are happening not the way you had planned, but you still know in your heart this is what you want to do with your life, music is what you are and what you want to do. When you get into that rut or that sort of pit of despair, thinking that maybe for one day you might want to quit, is there anything you might want to tell them just to reassure them of that person, who they are, and that things will be okay? Do you have anything that you might be able to tell them?
Definitely. I mean, I think that this always, to me, I know that this can sound like the absolute biggest cliche, but really at the end of the day, you just have to never, ever stop. Just don't give up, ever, because I think the glory and the success comes to the people who are the first awake in the morning doing what they love, and the last to go to sleep at night. They're the ones putting in the most effort. They're the ones that just don't give up. And no matter what happens, if you can just have this attitude of, I love this job and music more than I dislike any of its downsides. If that continues to be your attitude towards it, then you're going to be okay, as long as you just never let it get on top of you and never ever give it up. That's just that's the core piece of advice that I've been given, that I just think is really important. You just can't let it beat you down. You just have to really keep going.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful thing to say. That's a winner. I really do. And you're a winner. May your spirit always be strong, because that's what I get from you. You have a very strong spirit, and may things only go up for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dean. It's been a real pleasure talking to you from all the way across the other side of the world. It's just wonderful to chat to you. So thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is wonderful. Where else in the world in this time that we're in, 2020, where you can have this kind of technology, and where it's at everybody's fingertips now. Everybody's doing this Zoom calls, but I've never got to do one where you got to play, and it was wonderful. It was like I got to be in the studio and have you play for everybody. So that's wonderful, and I really appreciate it. I say wonderful a lot because like I said, I'm enamored of your music. This is something I'm going to be listening to after we talk.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me, and as someone that's hoping to make America my home very soon, I appreciate it a lot, and I hope one day we can meet in person.
I would love that. I hope that that you have to get like right now, I'm not going much of anywhere. But
me too. That's fine.
Yeah, I understand. But one day maybe we'll meet, and I will be so happy. I'll have to introduce you to my wife. We'd love to hear your music played live once again.
Oh, thank you. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Dean.
Imogen Clark, Making of Me is her album, which is an EP. The single Found Me, which is the song she just played acoustically, is out May 1st of 2020. And it is rock solid and fantastic. You are really going to enjoy this EP. Very big anthems, and it's about her life mainly, so you're going to want to check it out. And Imogen, it's been a pleasure, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean.
Okay, that's where I cut the recording. And okay.
Thank you so much, Dean. It's so lovely to meet you. Thank you for having me.
You too. I'll let you go.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.